All right. Hello. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome. This is the Monday Awareness Upgrade with Devoted Heart Lauren. I hope everyone's well and enjoyed the very hot weekend. Hi, Lindsay. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. So my offering for today is regarding relationships, and that we are purifying one another in relationships, any type of relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a work relationship, whether it's a family relationship, even whether it's someone that you encounter in passing wherever in your life. So we are purifying each other. We are serving to hold up a mirror and a reflection for one another so that we can see ourselves more clearly. So this obviously doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable because we see things about ourselves that we don't like. We meet resistance from within our being, and it seems like, oh, it's the other person. And to some degree it is. When we're in a relationship of any type, we are co-creating something. So I'm bringing certain energies, certain beliefs, certain archetypes, certain things from my past, and then so is the other person, and it's sort of how they dance together and how they interact that determines what happens. And if we're willing to be in relationships in a conscious way, then we can look at and we can take responsibility for our own stuff that we're bringing and allow the other person to actually illuminate that stuff in a way that allows us to move forward, in a way that allows us to grow and become more free. So regardless of what kind of relationship you are in, you get to look at the patterns or the archetypes that are showing up there. And in a moment, we're going to tune into the third eye and do a little third eye meditation. But if you're familiar with this third eye chakra, the Agnya chakra, it is all about intuition, and it's about seeing things in the bigger, broader sense. So while it might seem like, oh, this is a new person in my life and it's different, or they're different than all the other people who I've worked with, the other people who I've dated, the other people who whatever I've been friends with, if you're willing to look more closely, it might just be that they're wearing different clothes, right? They are disguised slightly differently, but that there's some patterns that have emerged that are part of your karma. And so whatever you believe about the universe is fine, but based on our patterns, we tend to draw in people who are working with certain patterns, certain archetypes. And so that's what that third eye awareness is all about. So can I see you not just as you look in your earthly body and with all of your earthly details, but can I see broader beyond that to look at, in a cosmic way, what's showing up here? What are the patterns? Who am I playing? What is this other person playing? And how are those archetypes interacting? What am I learning? And then at that point, if we're willing to face it, then we can continue to grow. And we can continue to grow by being in the relationship, or we can continue to grow by saying no thank you and not being in the relationship. And that's like a next level discernment thing, but we get to keep learning perhaps the same lessons over and over again as they're presented to us in the context of different relationships that look different, have different faces, or disguise different, wearing different clothes. Something that's been really helpful for me in my life is to think about relationships as the element of earth. So if you think about the four elements of nature, earth, fire, water, and air. Earth has to do with all the stuff, all the structure, all the tangible things, and all of the details. So, okay, my name is Lauren. I live in this apartment in Jersey City. I have 2 cats. My parents are da-da-da-da and da-da-da, and all of the other things. Okay, but then the elements that are beyond that, in a way, air corresponds to the nature of love. Water is about my creativity and my sensuality, and it exists in the context of my body, but also beyond my body. Okay, and then fire is how I get things going, how I move through the world and actually enact my desires. So relationships are based on context. Relationships are based on, okay, I live here, someone else lives here. I have certain viewpoints based on where I've come from and who my parents are and what I've come to believe. Okay, I like certain things, like I like yoga. Okay, so my friends and people who I connect with tend to also like yoga, or at least be amenable to talking about yoga or receiving me based on what I like and who I am. Okay, so relationships are highly contextual. I'm sure we've all also been in relationships that are contextual based on a certain job or living in a certain place or being in a certain social group, whatever. Okay, so relationships are contextual and they're based on details. Hopefully, we have relationships that aren't just contextual. They transcend the details. We can connect more on a soul level, and I can connect, therefore, with someone who, works in a completely different field, and we don't really have anything that we do or like the stuff that makes up our life in common, but we can still connect. Okay, so relationships to some degree are contextual and made up of an earth element, but love is the air element. Love is the air element. So love expands beyond the body, beyond the circumstances, beyond the physical stuff and the details. So, and last week I was talking about that you are love and everything else is just the details. And this is sort of an expansion of that. Like, you are love, and love is always a yes. Love is always there. So there can always be love between two people. So love is always a yes, but the relationship can be a yes or a no. So you can be purified by staying in a particular relationship, and you can also be purified by saying no and walking away. And there can still be love that is flowing between you, but in an earthly context, based on how you're both showing up, based on how your demons have come out to play or not play or battle or whatever, it might just not work. It might just not work in an earthly realm. But, and Ram Dass has a teaching that says, do what you need to do with people, but never put them out of your heart. And I think that speaks to what I'm talking about. So the relationship can be a yes or a no, and the love is always a yes. So we don't have to worry about, I love this person and now I don't love them. Love has different flavors in a way, but the all-pervasive love that is the quality of air is always a yes. And if we're willing to face the patterns, the archetypes, and see through this broader, wider seeing eye, we can still be purified. We can still notice what has come up. We can still grow. We can still allow the other person to grow if they're willing, by offering our patterns, our archetypes, our teachings. So let's drop in for a moment. I'm just seeing if there's anything else I wanted to say. I think that's about it. So dropping in and just noticing your third eye, and you may decide you want to touch your third eye. The third eye, Agnya, I'm not very good at saying that word, Agnya chakra, is our intuitive center. And it sees beyond seeing. It sees beyond the physical eyes. And it knows beyond the knowledge of the mind. So beyond the context of your earthly details, to a broader, more cosmic viewpoint or lens. And so how are you moving through the world, not just as you, whatever your name is, whatever your body feels like, wherever you live, but how are you moving through the world as an archetype? As someone who experiences certain things, certain patterns, certain feelings, as someone who manifests or attracts certain patterns, certain archetypes. And we're all making progress. We're all making progress at understanding our patterns, at learning and growing. But just notice the patterns that you have been working with. The relationships that you're in, that you have found and that have found you. And how are they purifying you? How are they allowing you to study yourself, to become more aware of your own patterns? And regardless of whether any given relationship actually works or doesn't work in your earthly life and context, how is it purifying you? How are the people that have shown up in your life helping you to ascend to the next level of consciousness? Breaking down barriers, perhaps resolving karma, making your way around the bends and turns of the maze that you've been dropped into. Can you allow the relationships that show up in your life to teach you something about yourself? Are you willing to look in the mirror at yourself through the lens of somebody else, even when it feels terrible? Even when it feels terrible. Visualizing this light at the third eye. Maybe it's white, maybe it's purple, maybe it's any other color, maybe it's changing colors, blinking. Very subtle or very bright. Just notice. So you can scan your reality with this light, with this scanner of the third eye, seeing through the surface level of things, through the costume, the illusion that might present itself. If there's anything that's coming up, just let it come up. And that purification that we all go through can feel like burning, can feel very uncomfortable. But everything that goes into the fire comes out changed. And so allowing relationships to purify us by just staying in that feeling state without running from it. Bring one hand to your heart and perhaps one hand or finger to your third eye. And trusting in your innermost guidance and also your widest lens. And letting the eyes of the face open so you're perceiving the details and your context right now through the perspective of an observer, a wider lens. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. If anyone has any reflections, I'd love to hear. You can write in the chat, or if it's something more personal that came up, feel free to message me. And yeah, have a great week. I'll see you next time.